Okay, Tori, the VP, is taking over today, since somebody else decided to go have fun at a wedding. So, I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 9:33 a.m. Welcome all. Everybody have a good Fourth?
Yeah, it was nice.
All right. So, we're gonna go to approval of the minutes from the last meeting, April 11th. Is anybody got any questions, add-ins, corrections that they would like to have done? Well, that sounds like a successful set of meeting minutes. So do I have people approve these,
No,
Mieko?
you
And
can
just
just
go,
say accept as submitted.
okay, we will accept those as submitted. Well done. Does anybody have something they want to add on other than talking to Mieko afterwards? I can't see notes, so is anybody watching those? If
I've got
somebody,
my eye on them,
oh,
so
okay.
nothing's
I
coming through
actually,
right now.
I would like to add a question at the end, if I can, for how people handle their staff cards at their libraries.
Staff cards. Okay. Okay. All right. So we will add that on to the end. So should we go right to officer reports, Mieko? Is there anything else
Yeah,
I've forgotten
let's do
about?
it.
Okay, so chair, obviously, nothing. Me as vice chair, just let me know if you guys want me to slow down or something. No, I don't have anything. Secretary?
Athena is not feeling well today, so she is not here, but she will
No.
be watching the recording.
Okay, Athena, feel better soon. Okay, Mieko, would you care to do anything?
Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to share the sign in sheets link. I will email that out after the meeting as well. So if you're attending today, don't forget to pop your name in there. Then I have so many slides for us today. So let me share my screen and get this going. Okay. So starting with a few updates. First update, just wanted to mention a few things about the discovery layer. Governing board now plans to select the new discovery layer at their September meeting. So in between now and then, if you have any feedback you'd like to share on the discovery layer options that are in consideration, please share them with your director. So again, we are looking at Vega, Aspen, and BiblioCommons. We do have recordings from product demos that the vendors did for library staff back in March. Those demos are recorded and they are available online at the Discovery Layer project page. So URLs in the slide. We'll make sure to also share it in the meeting minutes. So yes, discovery layer. Second updates, just a quick mention on the L2 directory. So you may remember there is a page on the CCS Catalogers Wiki that has a chart of Illinois libraries, and it lists their delivery code and their barcode prefix. We are retiring that page. So the information is all available on the Rails L2 directory and the Carly directory. For us, it just doesn't make sense to replicate that information. So if you do need to look up information about other libraries and you've used the Catalogers Wiki in the past, just use the L2 directory going forward. And then finally, exciting new functionality was announced for a future Polaris upgrade. So version 8.0 will include improved display functionality and dated patron notes. This version is projected to be released at the end of 2025. And then CCS will likely work on the upgrade tentatively planned for Q1 2026. But again, that timeline is still TBD. So I just want to go over a few of the really exciting development pieces. First of all, the display development, we will get a true temporary shelf location for in library displays. So this shelf location, it's going to be visible to, I've got a question, I will get there in a moment. The display is going to be truly temporary. So you will, I'm not sure what the workflow looks like yet. Assign a display shelf location to the item. It will display to staff and LEAP, to patrons in the online catalog. And then once the item checks in, it will revert back to its original shelf location. So we will have no more circulation status. So these items will still have the status of available when it's in the library. So, it'll go on your pick list. It can be checked out without needing any kind of staff intervention. So it's a truly temporary display functionality. We are very excited for it. The second one, oh, sorry, was there a question?
Yeah, okay, so in the details, there's not gonna be no circulation status at all, you're saying?
So the item circulation status will correctly display as available.
Oh, it's available, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah. The second one is an update to patron notes. So a new update will automatically add both a creator and a date time label to patron notes. So the idea should be that we may not have to worry about manually adding our date and initials when creating a note. Once we get closer to the software release, we'll have a better idea of what this development looks like to see can we change our practices. So more to for sure, more to come on that. Both of these were winning ideas from the Idea Exchange, which is the customer development forum. And then there was a question that came in: is it possible to get additional characters in the patron notes fields? So right now the patron note field is capped at 4,000 characters. I don't believe there is any current development around expanding the patron note fields. Again, that may change based on this new development. So I would say tuck this question away. Once we get the release notes for the 8.0 Polaris version, we'll come back and see if there's any updates to that. If not, this would be a great one to add to the Idea Exchange development forum.
Hey, Mieko, can we quickly go back real quick? Improve display functionality. Does that mean that the repair and everything? Repair, or you're saying that when we put it in repair and they check it back in, it automatically goes back to available? Is that what you're saying? For the improved display functionality?
Yeah, so the display functionality, that is just for items you put on a library, a display shelf.
Okay, we don't use that here. Okay, never mind.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on these items? I'll turn it back over to Tori then.
Okay, so all right, so that takes care of the staff. Do we have any old business? Is there anything? I don't remember. I looked at some past stuff. I don't remember anything we were going to come back to this meeting. Does anybody remember anything? I finally got messages up so I can see. If you think of something, put it in the question. We'll double check on that. So no, excuse me, old business. Okay, so new business. Options for checkout screen adjustment presentation. Ta-da!
Yay, you're gonna hear me talk for the next 5 agenda items, so I apologize in advance for
We like
hearing my voice
listening
so
to
much.
you.
Okay, so this first one, I just wanted to share an option with the group for a potential updates to Checkout View and Leap in case this is something your library would be interested in. I'm working with, I know Kathy's here, so I'm working with Warren Newport recently. We found an option to add fields to the Checkout View columns. So the top screenshot here, this is kind of the standard or the default view of the checkout screen. So it has all like the standard data columns. You've got your title, call number, barcode, due date, and the action. And then the bottom screenshot is an example of a modified checkout view. So it includes the same info, but with the addition of the items assigned branch. So I would say this, I wanted to just let everyone know if you did want to modify, if you wanted to add some data column to your checkout screen, we can. This setting is pretty well fixed though, so there's only a couple other fields that we have the option to add. We can add the items assigned branch, like in the example screenshot. We can add the items material type and or the item's shelf location. So if your library is interested in adding one or more of those 3 data points to your checkout view, open a help desk ticket or email help@ccslib.org. So we can always make the change in training first. If you just want to, test it out, see what it looks like. So I just want to let everyone know that was an available option.
All right.
Miyako, really quick, will that show up? They won't show up on the receipt though, right? When you give the member.
No,
Okay,
no
okay.
changes to the receipt, just
Okay.
the staff view. Good question.
Does anyone have any other questions on this particular item? Okay, I'm very excited. Vernon migration.
Okay, so what I really wanted to spend some time with the group on today was just reviewing some important information related to the Vernon Area Public Library migration. All of this information is available on the CCS website. I will show you where to find it kind of as we kind of get to the end of this section. So the first thing I wanted to look at is the offline and go live schedule. So as you know, our training database was down for part of May while Innovative loaded a copy of Vernon's data into our training database. So this test data load allowed us to see how much time we will need to load and process the data ahead of go live. So the schedule I have bulleted out here, it's kind of an abbreviated schedule. We've got the full schedule available on our website. But in a nutshell, Vernon will go offline on Thursday, August 28th. All other CCS libraries will go offline starting Friday, August 29th, and will remain offline through the end of the day, Tuesday, September 2nd.
Yeah,
So this is yeah.
I'm sorry, is that Friday morning we will be offline or at the end
Correct.
of the day Friday?
Starting Friday, so starting Friday morning.
Friday, thank you.
And this is over Labor Day weekend. So I know some of you are closed on Sunday, and I think everyone is closed on Monday. All libraries will be back online on Wednesday, September 3rd. So during the offline period, libraries should use Polaris Remote Offline. So this is when you log into the production staff client and you select the Work Offline checkbox. And then, of course, with Remote Offline, CCS staff are then able to upload the transaction files on behalf of libraries. So if it's Remote Offline, we are able to access those transaction files. So to make sure, Oh, yes.
Just a quick question about when we're coming back up on September 2nd. Is that going to be like, we'll be down until 9 o'clock that night, or maybe up sooner?
So libraries will be down the full days, Tuesday, September 2nd. And then everyone will begin they'll resume your normal operations on Wednesday, September 3rd.
Okay, because I know in the past, we had kind of said that it would be down and then it was up like at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so just plan on being down the whole day Tuesday and the whole day
Correct.
Friday.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
To make sure everyone is prepared for go live, we do ask libraries to test remote offline circulation. So again, since it's remote offline, you're still connecting to the Polaris remote server. So testing will involve connecting to the server, logging into the client in offline mode, checking out, printing receipts. And then with testing, CCS can then verify a transaction file was successfully created. Also, if you plan to use self-checks in offline mode, also check your self-checks. Test your self-checks. So this should include like taking your self-checks offline. Again, making sure they will check out, print receipts, and then follow your vendor instructions for bringing the machine back online or loading files. For the self-checks, it's really important to make sure that the machines are able to go offline. If they are still connected when we go offline in August, all of those checkouts during the offline period will be applied to the patron's training database record because of that SIP redirect that we do. So definitely check your self-checks to make sure you know how to properly bring them into offline mode. After the meeting today, I'm going to send an email to both the CERC listserv and the IT listserv just to inform everyone of the testing and the testing deadline, which is set for August 15th. We will do all communications to the help desk. So I will then be opening a help desk ticket on behalf of libraries. And this ticket is just going to be like our home base to communicate about testing and do any troubleshooting if we need to. So I'll send a ticket to your library's IT contact, and we'll make sure to copy in the library's CERC contact so everyone is informed. And we have a checklist, so you'll know like what steps to take and like what to verify. So again, testing deadline, it's been set for August 15th. This just gives us a nice little buffer before we go offline in case there is any lingering troubleshooting that we need to do. So I mentioned that PAC and SIP redirects. So if you remember from the past couple migrations, we've redirected our SIP authentication and any PAC traffic to our training database. So this means that services that authenticate with SIP, like Overdrive, will still be able to like reference the patron in training while we are offline. So patrons will still be able to use, Libby and Overdrive. So both patrons and staff will also be then able to search holdings in the training pack when we are offline. The redirect, it's only going to apply to the Power Pack. So for our BiblioCommons libraries, for Evanston and Glenview, you'll need to work with the vendor to discuss options for the offline period for BiblioCommons. So with this redirect, I mentioned that patrons will be able to like search in the Power Pack to check holdings. The data in our training database, it's going to be a snapshot of data from August 27th. So Innovative will be doing a data sync overnight from the 27th to the 28th. And because it's, a snapshot, not live database, the training data will not be updating as the weekend goes on. So any patrons who are registered for new cards on the 28th or during offline, they won't exist in the training database. And then item availability in the Power Pack will also become outdated as things are checked out during that offline weekend. So we will have messaging up on the training pack with service alerts just to kind of keep everyone informed. And then also, library staff will have view-only access to Training Leap. So, you are able to like look up a title or look up a patron if you need to. So again, it'll be view-only access. You won't have the ability to like edit records. I'm going to pause before I move on just to see if there are any questions. Okay. I'm going to talk about some available services, unavailable services. If you think of questions, don't hesitate to interrupt me, pop them in chat. Okay, so real quick, a summary of services that will and will not be available during offline. So again, if you've been around for the recent migrations, this list will look familiar. So available services, libraries can check out materials to patrons, and this includes anything that's like ready for pickup, your ready for pickup holds, ready for pickup interlibrary loans. Optionally, libraries can also register new patrons, and it's optional. Another optional service is hourly non-holdable material check-in. So these are those things that check out for like just a couple hours, like laptops or in-house use equipment. Those things may be checked in. If your library is planning to do any kind of hourly material check-in, you should determine like what materials will be eligible for offline check-in and just kind of set up an internal procedure or internal workflow. And then, as we mentioned, because of that SIP and pack redirect, users can search the Power Pack and the training version of LEAP. Keep in mind that data will become outdated as we move through offline. SIP services like Overdrive will be authenticating against training. And one thing to note here, access the training pack, LEAP, and that SIP redirect. This is only applicable to CCS libraries currently on Polaris. So once we do that sync overnight, that data sync overnight ahead of offline, Vernon data will no longer be in the training database. So I know Vernon's project team is looking at like view-only access options with Horizon. So if I have any Vernon staff on the call today, they are looking at options for your database. In terms of unavailable services, so library staff may not check any kind of general material in. And the reason for this in offline circulation, there's no way for the system to determine if that material should be transited to another library, if it needs to go on hold, if it was returned overdue, or just like otherwise requires action. So materials do need to be set aside until the morning of go live, which is September 3rd. And this includes your Rails delivery. Libraries will not be able to run the pick list or process holds. So this includes clearing expired holds from your hold shelf, placing new holds. You will not be able to modify patron records. And so you won't be able to like renew patrons or edit existing patron records. Patrons won't be able to pay fees. We won't be able to create interlibrary loan or on the fly records. This includes Find More. So Find More, all libraries will be on like vacation mode during offline. And then of course, technical services functions will not be available. So we won't be able to add or edit item records or bib records, and any activities that require kind of, editing things on the database. And then finally, API services will be unavailable. So while Innovative has the ability to redirect that SIP authentication, a redirect option is not available for API authentication, and that's why the BiblioCommons will be down at this time. So all of the information we just went over is available on the Vernon Area Migration Information page. I will take you there in a second. So just quickly touching on some of the things that you can do right now to prepare for the offline period. So first, just like in years past, we will be holding a webinar a few weeks before offline. During this webinar, we will be reviewing the go live timeline in detail and do a demo of Polaris Remote offline. So this webinar is scheduled for August 6th, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. You can register on L2. Since it's a webinar, it will be recorded. And the recording link will be shared in CCS News and posted to the migration website when available. Question here, will we be treating August 29th through September 2nd like holidays and extending checkouts around those days since we can't check in? Yes, those dates will be added as closed dates for all libraries, so nothing will be due during that time. One thing CCS is working on right now is just kind of plotting out the most effective way to do auto renewal and if we need to do like additional close dates. So as we figure that out, we will be sharing communication with libraries. We also plan on pausing overdue notices as well for a couple days once we go offline, just to give everyone a chance to catch up with check-ins too. So again, once those details are figured out, we will post them online. Okay, so register for the Go Live review and offline demo. Second, as we just talked about, libraries will be testing remote offline circulation. Make sure your library is prepped for that. And then a couple optional tasks. So first thing, libraries can decide if they want to register new patrons during offline. If you do, you'll want to designate one workstation per branch for registration. And the reason for this is the reason why you want to keep patron registrations concentrated to a single workstation is that it mitigates errors when uploading transaction files. So for those new patrons, let's say if their checkouts are uploaded before their registrations, those checkouts are all going to error out because the patron record doesn't exist yet. So knowing which workstations have registrations on them allows us to upload those files first. Make sure that any new patron registrations are created.
Mieko?
Yes.
I just want to make sure that this is correct. I remember from last offline that the computer that we use for the patron registration can also be used to check people out. Yes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, if you are registering new patrons during offline, we'll select one workstation to do registrations on. It is okay if you also do checkouts on those computers. If you decide to do patron registration during offline, send the workstation name to the help desk by August 15th. And then also, if you wish to pause Rails delivery during offline, contact the Rails delivery directly to coordinate any service changes. So again, still have a lot of details that are being worked out. As we work out those details, we will post that information online and share updates through CCS News or through the listserv as available. So I'm going to switch over to the CCS website just to show you where you can find this information. So let me get out of my slides. There we go. There we go. So on our website here, under member tools, we've got this direct link to the Vernon Area Public Library migration page. Here we have some basic info about Vernon if you want to share those with your patrons. And then all of the information, including kind of those bulleted, like how to prepare for go live tasks, our schedule in full, and then all of that information about offline services and circulation. So keep watch on that page. And I'm going to stop talking for a second and take whatever other questions you have.
Mika, do you want us to let you know when we're testing ahead of time before we start? If
I am going to,
testing the self-check or the computers we'll be using.
I'm going to open a ticket today with your IT staff and with that CERT contact copied in. I don't need to know if, like, when you plan to do the testing. The important thing for us is to know when you're done with the testing so we can check to make sure that the transaction file is created.
Okay.
For the self-checks, you know, obviously there won't be that transaction file on the Polaris database for us to choose to check. So it'll just be like the library can just let us know, like, hey, we tested our self-check, it was successful.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions on the section here? I guess not. Is this the end of this part?
This is the end of this part.
Okay, so we're going to look at the patron record gender field.
Yeah. So I wanted to share some updates about how we're going to treat the patron record gender field going forward. We'll start with some background information about this field, just some context around the recent discussions around it. The Polaris patron registration work form does include a field for gender. As you can see from the screenshot, this is a drop-down field. The default values are none, not available, female, or male. Libraries have the option of suppressing the gender field from view, but historically we've only suppressed this field at the request of a library. Currently, there are 10 libraries that have this field suppressed. So if it's suppressed, that means that staff do not see and they cannot modify this field in the patron registration work form. However, suppressing the field does not erase any existing field data. Last November, CCS informally surveyed libraries on their use of gender data through the CERC listserv. Vast majority of libraries reported that they do not collect gender data. However, unless the library has asked to suppress the field, it's still present in the patron registration work form. And we found that roughly 7.8% of new patrons registered at libraries where it's visible still end up with gender data. And this can be problematic because if it's not a question that's asked on the registration form that you have patrons fill out. It can mean staff that are inputting data based on assumptions, or the patron may have moved from one library service area to another and the existing gender data isn't removed, which is like, it's frankly, that's not a step that staff should have to be worried about. So the Circulation Interlibrary Loan Advisory Group discussed the use of this field at their December and June meetings. As a group, they decided they don't want to take away a library's ability to collect that data if the library has need for it. However, with the current climate of things, they do want to protect records at libraries that do not collect gender. So this is how we are going to treat this field moving forward. If your library does not collect gender data, that field will be suppressed and any existing gender data will be removed from patron records. So this will apply to patrons registered to your library. We will be suppressing the field and removing data from non-CCS reciprocal borrowers as well. To accomplish this, since it has been over half a year since we did, and it was a very informal survey, we're going to resurvey libraries. This time we're going to send the question to both the CIRC and the LibAdmin listservs, so the directors can be informed of these updates. I plan to send out the survey next week. Then if your library responds that you do not collect gender data, we will suppress that field in LEAP, and we will delete any existing gender data from patron records. And then going forward, CCS will do a scan regularly for any patrons that have like gender data that may be moved and re-registered at a library with a suppressed field. And we'll make sure that data is cleaned up for you. So that is a somewhat brief update on how we're going to kind of manage that field going forward. So again, I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions.
So you're going to send the resurvey to everybody, because I don't remember back in the day. I'm assuming one thing, but I'm not positive, so we can make sure that we get what we want.
Exactly. Yes.
Thanks. Double check on that though.
Library admin, is that like going to go to our directors? Okay,
Correct.
just thank you.
Thanks.
Will that also suppress it for online applications? Yes, if your library does online registration using the Polaris PowerPack online registration field, we'll make sure it's suppressed there as well.
Any other questions, concerns? Okay. Next up is billing for Library of Things. We have some of those.
This will be a very short one. So it's just a quick update on the CCS Governing Board policy on billing in relation to special collections like Library of Things. So looking at the CCS Governing Board policy, the circulation section states that all CCS libraries will use the automatic billing process for over materials at 45 days overdue. And previously, we've applied this policy uniformly to all materials. Library collections have really changed since this policy was created, particularly like Library of Things collections. And right now, Polaris doesn't have that flexibility to allow for separate billing policies based on a material type or a collection code. So, we're just kind of like revamped our understanding of the policy so that, if staff can opt to send a manual bill for library of things items ahead of the 45-day threshold if you need. So what do I mean by a manual bill? If you wanted to mark an item as lost before it reaches that 45-day threshold, once you know, in the patron's like list of items out, once you mark something as lost, you will see that that dialogue pop up with like what to do with the charges. If you choose the action to charge the fee to the patron, you will then have access to this little checkbox that says send a bill. So what happens here if you select this little checkbox? The patron will receive a bill notice for that item after the next overdue notice job runs, which is, you know, every morning. In their preferred format, so like either email or print or text. So this little step about like generating that bill, it is in the how-to page for lost items on our website. So again, just want to share clarification that for your special collections like library things, if you did not want to wait that 45 days to bill a patron for the item, mark it manual, and you can use that send a bill to generate a bill notice.
Mieko.
Yeah.
So it's up to the library how many days we wait. Is this, it doesn't, we just have to talk to the director or whatever. Okay. I just want to make sure there wasn't like an overall plan that governing board discussed.
And another question, if you do go ahead and do that, then if when it hits the 45 days, does another bill go out?
No, because it's already considered lost.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Mieko. So what information appears on the bill? Because I see you can add a message as well.
It will be the standard bill notice, but you, as you mentioned, you are able to add an additional message if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on this area? Thoughts, concerns? How to? Okay, so now we're up to our action piece, patron record title field.
Yeah. So this will be one we'll be voting on. The action item is to decide the future use of the patron record title field. Earlier this week, I shared a short document on the listserv that includes some information on the patron record title field and how it's currently being used. So I do want to review that information. We'll open it up for questions and discussion and then take our vote. So the title field. This is an optional use field in the patron record. Staff can use this field to select a name prefix, so like Mr., Mrs., Miss, from a predefined list. All libraries share this list. And unlike the gender field, we don't have the option to suppress the field from view. However, we are able to edit the contents of the field. So we can add, remove, or modify the list of entries. So this is not a commonly used field. Less than 1% of patron records in the CGCS database include title data. It also appears that the application and use of the field has fallen very dramatically over the years. My guess is that most of the title data that still exists in the database is like legacy information. So it's, patrons that have migrated over from our old system. came from old library practices because very, very few newly registered patrons are assigned a title. So here's a breakdown of what titles are used and how many patrons are assigned to each title. So as noted in the write-up, the origin of the title list is unclear. It includes redundancies. So you have both like Mr. with the period and Mr. without a period. And then things that should be suffixes instead of titles. So, you know, juniors, seniors, the third, the fourth. And then a number of unknown entries, you know, like the little equal sign or the
Hunk.
semicolon.
That one that says
So,
hunk.
yeah.
I mean,
These appear in notices. So if anyone's ever assigned a hunk, so, okay, one important consideration here for the libraries that don't collect gender information, you know, several of these entries are gender specific. So, you know, and it doesn't include gender neutral options. So even if you don't collect gender data, this field could be used to either gender or misgender patrons. And as I just mentioned, it appears on notices. It does not appear on hold wrappers. So again, this was a topic at our last couple CERC ILL advisor group meetings. Because of how little the title field is used and how it can potentially be used to gender patrons, the committee is recommending that CCS libraries cease use of the title field. So this is the motion that we are putting forth today for libraries. And if the recommendation passes, what this would look like, CCS would remove basically all options from that drop-down list, and we would clear existing title data. If the title is meant to be a suffix, so if it is a junior, a senior, the third, the fourth, we will move that information to the patron record suffix field. So that was just a very brief recap of the write-up I sent out earlier this week. So this, I'm going to stop and see what questions or discussion the group has. I'm going to stop sharing my screen too, so we can all see each other.
Hey, Miyako, okay, you just answered my question, because I just entered one, a patron with the third. So, but you just answered that, it's going to the suffix field, so that works, okay.
Okay, great. Good.
Yako, I know you and I have talked about alternative uses for this field previously. If we do decide to stop using it, it's not getting completely suppressed in Leap, right? It's just removing everything under that drop down.
Correct.
Okay.
How about, did you say that like all the data that is in that field right now could just actually be, I mean, that drop down list? Will that be cleaned up then? Or like that hunk, is that still gonna stay in there?
Only if you want it to, Karen.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that and then I'll really get in trouble. No.
So what we would do is we would basically remove all of the entries from that list. So it would just be like you would still see the field in the patron registration work form since we're not able to suppress it, but you won't be able to do anything with it because there'll be no options there.
Harry, I'm sorry you removed Captain too.
Had I known, I could have been the one captain in all of CCS. No.
I think senior and junior is like the only thing we ever really use because we have so many people named after dad and they all live in town. So avoid hold issues, but. Okay, do we want to go ahead and take a vote? So we're going to vote to accept or
Well,
right?
we'll need someone to make a motion to cease use of the title field, essentially.
Thank you.
I
Nicely put.
To cease use of the title field.
I second that motion.
So Janine moving, Carrie seconding, and then I will turn it over to Tori we'll start with a voice vote.
How many
Uh,
people vote yay? So to go ahead and get rid of it.
Yay.
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 Aye.
Yay.
Nay.
Volume off.
We've got 3 yays and 4, 5 yays in the hypers.
Keegan says yay.
Yay, 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 yay. Okay, it looks like we are
Well-
gonna go ahead and
Well, can we just ask for any nays just for
excellent. Good plan. All right, anybody who has a nay, can you type it in or speak up loudly here? Okay. Good idea, Mieko. Do you do a lot of these meetings? I'm just curious. Okay, so we will say that's a resounding yes. We will remove
Excellent.
or suppress or exclude, however the wording goes.
Great. So I will establish a timeline for making those updates, and I will share that information with the CERC listserv. Probably pop it into CCS News too, just so everyone is informed. So watch for an email on that update.
And there's nothing you need from our end, any of us doing anything or worrying about, okay.
No, you guys are all set.
Well, we're here for you, Mieko. All you have to do is ask. You just pop it into a help ticket for me, that'd be. So the next thing up, and don't worry, Shannon at Grace Lake, I have not forgotten about your questions. The home services holds. Dustin.
So unfortunately, Dustin's not able to attend today, though he does send his
Bummer.
regards.
Did we want to go ahead and have a discussion or do we want to save it?
Yeah, I would say if we're able to have a discussion, that would be great, since this is recorded, so we can share the information with them.
Okay, so we're looking, Dustin's looking for what people's general plans are for home delivery. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I think the question was, since the hold wrappers, since the hold wrapper data just like is very limited in
Right.
what patient information can show, how do you identify which holds are for your home services patrons? What are your workflows when something traps?
Okay, I'll go. Okay, we mark those members as HB for homebound. And they get a pink sticker, a circle sticker, and it goes on our hold shelf. And we keep them out there for 6 weeks. So we have someone that does that and delivers them, but she only does it like twice a month. So, but that's how we keep them separate, and that's how staff knows that those don't go on the regular hold shelf. They go in a special place. So.
Good sticker idea.
Mount Prospect does something different. We have an in-house homebound card. So the patron holds come through that with a note for who it's for, and then it goes to our home delivery team, like our homebound team, and then they manage everything, get it separated, and it gets set aside in a special place for our volunteers to come and pick things up.
Displays does something a little different from that. We used to have a card and we stopped doing that. We add an X to the beginning of the person's name and an X in the middle name field so that you can see there's 2 X's on the hold wrapper. patron accounts check the item out to the patron, and then we give it to the outreach team. They change the dates of when things are due based on when they're going to do the deliveries. But we wanted to, like earlier, we were just giving them to outreach, but then things weren't necessarily getting checked out right away and things like that. So we found out that this was like the best way for us to know where the items were and to identify who was outreach. We used to have HB, but then we stopped using the terms homebound. So that's why we did the X. We tried different things, but this seemed to work.
So if you're looking a patron up in the system, if you've got an X on their first name, do you have to try that sometimes when you're
No,
looking?
no, because like there's one person that I'm looking up constantly. I just have to type in. I can type in his first name and it'll pull up. I can pull in his last name and it'll pull up. So it's like X space and then the name. So it works.
Okay, thanks.
We have the name dedication in the last name so that it does appear on the hold wrappers. Ours is # and HWD. That's our internal homeward delivery. I'm the one that's in charge of those patrons, so all of those items get forwarded to me. We also, I know this isn't really part of Dustin's question, but we also do standard home delivery. So we also have a separate home delivery branch in LEAP that those items can be routed to. And those have a separate cart in our workspace that we process twice a week for standard deliveries. But specifically for home services, those get checked in LEAP, hold wrapped for me. I got my whole cart behind me. But staff just see that # HWD and they know, send them to Carrie.
We have a lot of great chats coming through, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna read through some of them. So Grace Lake also uses HB, and they place them on their hold shelf near the Z's. Ela has designated symbols for all special accounts, so that identifies which account is which. Morton Grove uses the first 4 letters of the last name, and then they use a # for the first letter of the first name because it looks like an H. Carrie also uses the # before their last name and has places on a special shelf. And then Northbrook puts the # before the middle initial, so it shows at the bottom of the receipt, the hold wrapper tape. Let's see, we're in Newport. Their outreach team pulls either from the floor or from the hold shelf as materials are requested or pulled. Currently dates are changed, but might change from that. Mount Prospect, forgot to mention, we actually check the items out to our in-house homebound cards. They are accounted for even in the time between the item becoming available and when it gets checked out to the patron. Algonquin adds HD after the last name. They check them out and give them to the librarians who are in charge. Oh yeah, and Warren Newports, they use the outreach module in LEAP. And they have 3 kind of like delivery categories: lobby stops, doorstep delivery, and deposit delivery. Lakeville also has a home delivery option to trap. We keep these holds in the circ workroom until staff check them out and deliver them. And Wilmette uses QQ. Zion, they use a # before the last name and TL at the end of the last name for our patrons. So circ staff knows to route it to the outreach staff. So there's a lot of options for like how to visually represent. And I think that's really helpful.
Yep, thank you everyone on Dustin's behalf. Can I also ask a similar question really quick? We're looking at a home delivery policy, and I didn't know if anybody has a policy they'd be willing to share with Round Lake, just so we can kind of help construct our own, because we realized we don't have a very specific one. So if anybody's willing to share it, if you'd please email it to me, I'd really appreciate it. So thank you.
Alicia, we don't have a policy, but I mean, it's on our website, so I'm just gonna dump the URL in the chat for you, if that's of any help.
Great, thank you.
Mieko, is there training available for the outreach services manager in LEAP?
Yeah, we have online training course for that. And I am always happy to come do an outreach training as well.
Okay.
Does anybody have other questions? Okay, so I thought we jumped to Shannon, if you wanted to talk about the staff card question you have, we're ready to go.
Thank you. We are just evaluating our staff cards and how we issue them. And so I was curious how other libraries issue them. We do use and plan to keep using the exempt patron code. Primarily, I'm wondering how you identify them, like in the search. So right now we add GRK as the middle name for most of our cards. But then also we have a lot of staff who have a card elsewhere as a patron. But then, so we issue them a Grays Lake barcode. But then we also have a lot of staff who are Grays Lake district patrons as well. So we're not sure, like, do we issue them 2 cards? Do we make both of their cards staff cards? There's just a variety of options.
Okay, this is Indian Trails for staff cards. In the statistical class, we put staff and then we use the exempt. We use our address here. We don't use their home address, so that helps us identify too as well. And that's basically it. Yeah.
Shannon, you and I are on the same wavelengths because this is something I am actively working on with the exact same questions, because we have a lot of in-district folks in previous policies before our circulation procedures changed, like staff got extended loan periods and obviously like no overdue fines, and now all of those perks are moot. And so we're trying to decide, is it redundant if we give them a staff card, but we've also ran into issues if they go get hired at another library, that library may take their personal card and be like, it's a staff card. It's like, no, they still get this personal card, it's theirs. Right now, I've designated the suffix field with #DUK just as a visual for us, still using that patron code, still using that stat class for staff. Just because sometimes those codes get overlooked and it's like, why are there duplicates of this person in here? And then just making internal policies saying, like, even if you live in district, here's this. We want people to have access to these materials with really soft guidelines on like expectations for these cards. I'm working with our admin on that. I mean, literally you and I are in the exact same spot right now, so this is very fascinating to me. But that's where we're currently at.
Thank you.
Well, if you use exempt, you cannot use that card at any other library. So if you use the exempt patron code, one of our staff members, that happened, they went to Northbrook Library and you grabbed the wrong card. Tried to use their staff card here and they weren't allowed to whatsoever. So
And
that's, yeah.
I will clarify that, like, the reciprocal rules around your exempt, if your library has an exempt patron code, right? The reciprocal rules around your library's exempt patron code are up to your library. So Indian Trails said that if you have an exempt patron code, you can only use it at Indian Trails. Other libraries may say this card has reciprocal privileges and can be used at other libraries.
I don't know. Oh, sorry.
Say at Mount Prospect, and I think we worked with CCS to figure this out because we were new last year. So I'm hoping it is working the way I think it is. But for resident staff, their patron code is just the regular like Mount Prospect patron and then the stat classes staff so that we know that they're staff. We don't do anything special. And then for non-resident staff, their patron code is Mount Prospect staff. And then their stat classes staff. And the reason that the patron codes are different is because we didn't want them using their if they don't live in Mount Prospect, we didn't want them using their Mount Prospect library card at other libraries, but we wanted them to have full resident privileges for Mount Prospect. So I think that that is working like it is supposed to. But that is what we do. And then for the non-resident cards, we don't do anything special with the address. We have their home address still in there. And then if somebody leaves, we usually expire their staff card on the date that they leave so that they can't use it anymore if they're not a resident.
Thank you all.
Excellent.
And there's some,
no, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna mention, summarize some of the chat information that came through the chat, and we'll pop the chat into
Oh, I
the
didn't.
recording description box so everyone has access to that. It looks like both Algonquin and Warren Newport will use, if their staff is a resident, they will use that existing card. If they are not a resident of the library, they will give them a staff card. Okay, thanks, Tori.
Yeah, yeah, it looks a lot like what we do. I mean, we had exempt, we used to have exempt, but now that we don't have fines and fees, it's not like they're getting, like you were saying, a lot of the perks are gone in that sense. But yeah, we always put the, if they're from out of the area, we just put the library as the address. And it's part of the closing procedure when they leave to remove any employee staff card that's been issued to them. So sounds like a lot of people kind of do it similar. Feel free to send a note out to the list if anybody needs more, has another thought about it or something and wants to ask everybody. People are really good about answering questions on that list. So don't be shy to ask. We've all asked stuff and I've re-asked things I've asked before. So is there anything else that anybody particular suddenly thought of that they'd really like to ask, or a quick question that they have? Having a lot of fun with our vending machine. People actually took out a hotspot. Woo woo! All right, what's up, Donna?
Never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind. It was answered.
All right, anybody got good news? New nieces, nephews, grandchildren? Just thought I'd check. All right, if there is nothing else, can I call for someone to say, Tori, let's wrap this bad boy up? Oh, wait, can someone go over again about the display status for items? Mieko?
Yeah. Okay, so right
One more
now,
time.
so right now, libraries can choose from two options for a display. They can either use a display shelf location, or they can use a display circulation status. With the display shelf location, it is a very traditional shelf location. So staff needs to edit the item record to assign it to the display shelf location. And then when it's all done, they need to edit the item record to remove the display shelf location. With the display circulation status, you will update the item record circulation status to display. That is cleared if the item is checked in. However, since the circ status is display and not available, these items will not appear on your pick list. If someone brings the item to
The self
to for checkout,
not
Stephanie
to-
needs to clear that, check in the item first before checking it out to clear that status. So it's like the two options we have right now. There is some kind of hurdle to service with display. So as of Polaris 8.0, the new option is going to be I think the best way to think about it is a temporary shelf location. So staff will assign, and I don't know what this will look like yet. Staff will assign a display shelf location to the item. But then because of the way that shelf location is coded into the software, this one will clear when the item is checked in and go back to its original shelf location. So let's say you have, an item from your adult mystery shelf location and you're pulling for, a cozy mystery display. So you can date that item to display shelf location. And so everyone who's looking in the catalog will see that it's on display. People who are pulling for the pick list will see that it's on display. But patron checks that item out. And then when they bring it back and it's checked in, the development they are planning on will clear that temporary shelf location. So now it's back to adult mystery, and whoever's putting the items away will know exactly where to shelve it.
So, are you talking that they are going to be using the temporary location field that is in the item record?
I don't know yet. We'll have those details
'Cause
once
I
they
know-
release
yeah.
the 8.0 notes.
Okay, so it almost seems like then there will be three options with 8.0. You could still change, your shelf location, which is what we do right now, kind of create a record set of all the ones that we've done so we can change them quickly back. Or you can use the circ status of display, which, I mean, that's also something that's available right now. Or, like I said, there is a temporary location field in the item record, and it almost seems like that's what they're gonna be using.
Yeah,
But I
we'll
guess
see.
we'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So more to come. I'm very, very excited about the option.
Okay, so that's an upcoming delight to chew over in
Exactly.
the back of our mind. Okay, so there aren't any other questions, can I get a motion to wrap it up?
I motion.
I second.
Okay, so Donna motioned and Shannon second. And if there's nothing else, everybody enjoy the day. Have fun on being able to take an occasional Friday off. Woo-woo!
Thank you.
Everybody have a good
Yeah,
one.
thanks.
You too.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for stepping
Bye,
in, Tori.
everyone.
Yeah, first time we made it.
You made it.
I'm hanging out, Miko.
Okay.